I have made a promise to myself to go live at 2 p.m. Pacific time every day. Totally missed that number. It's now like 5, but I've figured out how to get this live streaming on different platforms, which is exciting. I'm working with Restream.io, and I should be going live on like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram and LinkedIn at the same time. So part of what I'm doing right now is testing these systems to make sure that they're working, right? So that I can really share my stories, because that's what I'm really up to right now, is practicing my story time. So one of the stories that I want to share is me being an army brat and the world of stuff and moving and organizing, because I don't care whether you're moving into a movable home that's much smaller than your regular home, or whether you're downsizing and just, moving into something that may be half the size of your home or even a quarter size of the home. Let's say you're in a 2,000 square foot home and you want to go to 1,000 square foot. There's going to be some reality of getting rid of things, or at least organizing. Reality is we can stuff our things everywhere. I just did a big clean this morning with my husband. He helped me with the vacuum and all the things. And I really feel better when my place is organized. I've got these beautiful flowers sitting here next to me from a catering event that we just did. So that's kind of nice. And if the desk feels a little chaotic, I feel a little chaotic. So does if the house feels a little chaotic and things aren't in their place. So, the classic, everything has its place and everything in its place. That helps my brain just sort of breathe and settle. And so when I was born in San Francisco, Presidio. We flew immediately within 6 months of my life being here on planet Earth. We flew to Germany, lived there for about 3 years, then San Antonio, Texas for about 6 months, and then New York, West Point, New York for 5 years, then Fort Leonard Wood for 1 year. And then finally, by the time I was 10, after all those places moving, we pretty much stayed in California. Then from that home to this home, this is the final, I think this is the final home of my parents. So what I really learned from all those travels, I remember probably more about when I was 10. Anytime before that, I was just too young. But when I was 10, I saw a moving truck be packed, like the big kind, like the 18-wheeler. And in the Army world, they usually packed a number of people, right, and then sent them out. In fact, in 1980, there was a embargo, or something was happening. There was a big protest strike for the truckers. And I remember when we moved from New York to Fort Leonard Wood, we had to sleep on cots for like a month because our shipment had not come from New York yet. But back to the story of like organization and knowing how to fit things and figure things out. And that's something I feel like I learned many times over, is how to reduce and pack and organize space, because I had to many times over. My own room, I got these purple stickers to pack up my boxes in my own room. And then when it was on the other end, all those purple sticker boxes would go into my new room. And all of this was mostly military housing. I think we lived in military housing my whole life until we moved out of the military. So it was always well organized because there was the moving truck and there was the movers that would come, and my job was to pack up my boxes. So I feel like that world really helped when there we were in Marin. We had already decided to go tiny. We had already decided to live in my parents' summer home in winter because their home is open in winter, which is where I'm at right now. And by doing that, we brought 9 truckloads and van loads up to my parents' house. We even took over, they had a 3-bathroom home, like 3 bathrooms in their home. We took over one of the bathrooms and just made it our storage unit, our storage purge unit. And then we had the giant dining room table with multiple leaves put in it in full extension. I think it was probably 10 feet. Put a strap down the middle. Whenever we'd grab a box, we'd put the box down. We'd take an item out. Like, for example, here's my cell phone case. Yes, I want to keep it. That would go into the yes pile. Let's say it's an old cell phone case. Oh, that would go into the no pile. From the no, so all I would do there is just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, sort, sort, sort. Then for the yeses, they would go to their places, right? Everything has a place. And then for the no's, they also have their places. Is it going to be recycled? Is it going to be donated? Is it going to be given away as a gift? Does it have any value still left for in it? When I was giving away all my plants, those had a lot of value to me and definitely a lot of value to someone else because I had grown them for 7 years. They were well established, well mature plants, pot, everything, happy, and I gave them to friends. I felt like if I was ever going to go visit those friends again, I'd be able to see my plant. And one of my dear friends, Elizabeth, still has my plant in my pot in her front entryway to this day. And I look at it and go, oh, there you are. I don't have an attachment to it. But yes, when there was a moment of letting go of my plants, that was really hard to do. But I did it because what was going to come was so much bigger, right? Us having home ownership, the ability to travel. And so now we're in a situation where we are housing fluid. That's my new word for me to explain our housing is that every winter we can come to my parents' home and every summer we are housing fluid. We've lived in a camper. We've lived in our tiny home. We've lived in my parents' home, living here, but also having the camper out front as like the kitchen so that we're not all crowding each other in the kitchen. My mom likes her house a certain way, and I appreciate that. It's her home. She's 80 years old. She gets to do what she wants. But there were some overlapping, like for a month that we would be here before they left, which is a great gift because I love being around my parents. And, I don't often get to see them since we're opposite times. So this whole thing is just really a big storytelling moment for me to share about my world of organization. I realize not everyone has that experience of how to organize their life like I may have. But if you haven't, then you might want to work with someone to help work on organization. There's celebrity TV shows, reality shows, all about organizing just closets or pantry rooms or you name it, bedrooms. There's interior designers that help with that. And I do believe, again, everything has its place. And then there's an opportunity for everything to be in its place. If you have clutter, it's likely that not everything has its place. And that's when you get to decide, do I want to still live in this clutter? Or do I want to really figure out where these things have a place? And if they just don't, and they just don't have a place in my life, they need to go. I've been raised by my mama, who's really good at figuring out what stays and what goes. And I made a joke. I was like, man, if you leave from the chair too long, she might put that in a garage sale. There's been board games that have disappeared from my life. Life actually is one of the board games that I loved that went bye-bye because we didn't touch it. There's some things you might keep year after year, and then there's other things like taxes. Yes, you have to keep those in paper form. Sadly, you do. But maybe you digitize them as long as your drives don't break down, right? I've had drives go kaput and then you really lose something. So those are just some of the fun little things that we get to talk about at 2 p.m. And the reason why the 2 p.m. is the time is now. We're in preparation for TinyFest. Every day at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to come live, talk about some story of my life and tiny home related, you name it. And the time is now is an opportunity for you to be accountable to your dream. So the reason why mine's at 2 p.m. is that we have 12, right? 12 different points on the clock. And at 2 p.m., number one, I want to inspire others with our next project, which is a showroom/office. That'll be probably another opportunity. I have not learned how to share my screen and restream. That'll be another opportunity. Or maybe I use my cell phone and view the screen. This is why I'm doing this. So the cool thing is this tiny home is 21 feet. It's not a home. It's a showroom office because there's no bathroom. There's going to be no kitchen. We're going to tow it with our truck and our camper. But largely we're going to have places to live. And these will be might be like weekend getaways or events that we go to, things like that. And this is my dream. And the 2 o'clock, which is the 00 or the 12 point, is because we want to be mobile, right? So of this list of 12 things, there's an opportunity for you to choose your number one and number two reason for going tiny. And then every day at 2 p.m., here we go. There it is. I know it's backwards. 2 p.m., it's set for every day to remind me of my dream. And on top of it, for super big brownie points, I'm going live at 2 p.m. to keep talking about this because I'm going to be speaking about the time is now on Saturday and Sunday of TinyFest, March 16th and 17th, Del Mar Fairgrounds. The time is now to go tiny. That's the topic of my presentation. And I'm super excited to just deepen in because there's 12 different reasons to go tiny. And so I've got lots of options to really talk about each one of those 12. Maybe that's what I'll talk about tomorrow. All 12, and then each one for the next 12 days, I'll talk about one of them and share a story because actually I have a connection to all 12. But there's going to be one or two that are really your driving force. For us with our tiny home, initially, it was home ownership. Well, now that we already have that, now my job is to inspire others. And I feel like the showroom office is going to be amazing. And I can't wait to show it. All right, everyone, time is up. It's already 1.5 minutes over the time I want to do, no more than 10, so that I can be here to share the story, get in and out, and let's go tiny. Bye, everyone. Now it's about turning off this end stream. There it is.